Sunday is a very good challenge for us. SMU is maybe the most talented team that we have faced. Couple thousand point scorers back, 4 I believe on the team, playing very, very good basketball. So a heck of a challenge, a game, a series that we scheduled for our fans. So I know there's holiday plans and everything, but we need a packed pit. Playing this game for this community and these fans, and it's a heck of a challenge. We've got to learn from the UTEP game, and there is so much to learn. And it's a process with this young team, but we've had a good week of practice, so we're excited about the challenge.
What's the main takeaway from watching the film that you didn't know last time we talked to you right after the UTEP game?
Well, we've certainly not handled physical, tough teams, much like UAB and Towson. That kind of reminded me of that game a little bit. So give UTEP credit. They were very, very disruptive. We had moments where we were not disciplined at all. I've never been a part in 9 years being a head coach. I've never had a player get a technical argument with a ref. I've never have it. So we certainly addressed that. I don't think the guys are malicious in any means by it, but they've got to learn that behavior is just not going to be tolerated. We're not going to worry about those things. So disappointed in that. But, we got to learn from it. I mean, it's not one specific thing. UTEP was very, very disruptive. And we've just got to be better all around.
Coach, you said you guys had some good practices. Did the guys responded as far as trying to get some growth from what happened?
Yeah, I mean, we've got so many new players. It's such a big rebuilding task. It's not going to happen as fast as we all may want it to happen. I think when you see our team, you say, okay, they got some good pieces, some good talent. And sometimes we may want to skip steps, even myself. The bottom line is, UTEP had just made tougher plays and better plays. So if we embrace the process of this thing, we'll get better and better. But there's going to be moments where we're all going to just be banging our head against the wall because you have such a young, inexperienced team.
Do you have anybody who's standing out as far as the more games you play, the more you that guy?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Any player in particular that's really coming on and seem to be getting your style and how you like to do things?
The everyday guys seem to be flourishing. Javante is one. I think that just is very, very consistent. But the guys who are consistent with their habits are going to be more consistent on a daily basis and in games. Jamal is somebody we talk about a lot. Not playing great lately, but it'll even out over the course of a 4 or 5 month season. So. Again, we're trying to establish a culture of everyday guys who are working hard to get better, who respond to whatever's thrown their way. And, they're all good kids. They really are. And they do work hard. It's just a matter of those habits being there every single day.
Coach, how much does not having a manual affect what you want to do?
Well, we have 4 returners from last year: Saquon, JF, Eman, and the walk-ons. Am I missing one? Javante, 4, and the walk-ons. So when you're taking over a program, it's really hard. It's harder now. Like when I took over Minnesota, we had some really good pieces. We had to add some. We won an NIT in our first year. I think now when coaches are fired, there's mass exodus. There was one at Minnesota for us. So now you're put in a position of how do you rebuild this team? How do you take fifth-year seniors? Do you take transfers? Do you take high school kids? So many challenges when you're taking over, especially in the middle of a pandemic because you can't go recruiting. So the returners need to be the guys, so to speak, but you even have returners who hadn't even played in front of fans before. So yes, Eman being back will help. He has practiced a little bit. He hasn't done any contact yet. We'll do that today, see how he responds. And if you can get the veteran leadership from such an inexperienced team, it does help. I liked what I saw from him last time we played New Mexico State on the road and won, I mean, I thought he was a huge factor.
Having a full week to prepare for the next game, what do those practices look like, and what's your main focus right now?
Well, I mean, it's a long week. I originally was going to give him 2 days off. I was so just disheartened by our performance versus UTEP. I decided not to do that. We've just got so much work to be done. So it's not all SMU. It's a lot of us. We need to get better, as well as sprinkle in SMU throughout the course of the week so that we are prepared for that. So there's not just one thing right now. We got to get better at everything. Our defense, we don't have a great identity right now. We find it very, very hard to get stops, and we just got to keep building it, keep working on it.
I know you've had some practices where all you do is rebound and you just really focus on that. Have you had any of those really specific practices?
Defense, yeah, been a lot of defense this week. A lot of half-court defense. We're sitting towards the bottom, if not the bottom, at the Mountain West. Obviously we haven't started conference play yet, but we've had some brilliant moments early offensively, but we haven't had a lot of brilliant moments defensively. I think the rebounding's improved, but our half-court defense is nowhere near what it needs to look like. But again, it's going to take time. I mean, I think we got to get bigger, we got to get stronger, and also just a commitment to it every single possession.
Coach, when you talk about defense, have you thought about mixing some zone in with what you?
I don't think zone's a solution. I don't think it's what we're doing, how we're doing it. It's not like we're playing a junk defense. It's man to man. We gotta be better at that. I don't love our length in the backcourt to play zone. I mean, if we were a little bit bigger, maybe. But no, it's just. I don't think it's the scheme. I think it's just a matter of getting better at it.
It seems like maybe I'm just kind of thinking of a few specific moments, but it seems like you guys don't understand yet, or your guys don't understand yet, like when to help and when not to help, and there's just a moment of hesitation sometimes on the help defense that you guys are pretty consistently getting beat towards, at the rim. Not so much on the perimeter, but like.
Yeah, there was times versus UTEP where we're getting blown by, which is going to happen. There's good offensive players. Where's the next line of defense? We're a little bit too much of that was his fault. Defense is designed where, okay, if you make a mistake, the next guy's going to help you, and then you're going to help him. So, yeah, we've worked a lot on that, and it was not there versus UTEP. I mean, there were loud mistakes, and all of a sudden you're giving up a dunk. Your defense should be designed to not be giving up layups, not be giving up dunks.
This isn't you, but in the past year, there was so much collapsing into the paint and trying to prevent people from getting to the rim that three-pointers were just going off on, seemed like record bases here for opposing teams. You guys do defend the perimeter a lot better. Should you maybe be collapsing a little more if the rim is what's not being defended?
You're like Coach Jeff Grammer right now. So, yeah, I would say that we don't want to give up threes. Twos or more than threes. We've talked a lot about that. I think our defense is designed to not give up threes, and it keeps you out of a scramble situation. But we can't be giving up layups either. So there's a balance there, and we've talked a lot about that. We don't want to give up threes. We want to guard the three-point line, but we have to find a way to do both, because there were several times in that UTEP game they were getting to the rim where, you may have to leave that guy and rotate, and then, so it's all connected, and a work in progress for sure.
Coach, the way that UTEP defended the perimeter, and you guys at times struggling to get to the basket, as you're talking about in this process of getting bigger, stronger, how do you work through that over time and make those adjustments?
Well, I think year one is about building kind of what it is you're trying to do. The beauty of this team is we could have everybody back. Even Saquon's got to figure out what his deal is, but through COVID, he could come back. So, establishing a culture off the court, establishing a culture in practice, on the court, and identity, and you can tinker with that from time to time. It's going to be hard when Mash has an off day like he did. We've got to establish somewhat of a low post threat, because they could trap a ball screen and do certain things. You can always throw the ball into the post. Is Jethro quite ready for that? He probably thinks he is more than maybe we do, but I think he's going to be a really good player. I think Sebastian's going to be a really good player. It's just about evolving and taking, just being patient with it and not changing every day if you don't like something, because it's just being confident in what the plan is and sticking to it.
Well, in the case like that, like you mentioned, where teams are defending Mashburn and you might not be able to score as much as in other games, is there a point where you say to yourself, like, okay, we need a plan B, or how much are you sticking to the game plan and how much are you changing if that has to be the case that other guys have to get more involved?
I mean, we collectively want 5 guys involved at all times. I don't think we're running one thing for one guy all the time. I mean, is Mash going to average 25 points a game? I don't think so. Do I think he could average 15, 16, 17, 18? Yeah, I do. And again, he's only a freshman. He gets that year back from COVID. So he hasn't played great in several areas the last couple of games. It bothers nobody more than him. But I want 5 guys out there who can be a threat at all times.
Since his name's come up a couple times, I know he had high volume towards the end of last year at Minnesota, but he's never had what he had the past 2 games. So this is the first time you've seen him kind of work through maybe a slump quite like this.
Oh, he had it more at Minnesota than you think. You go back and look. Yeah, no, he did towards the end there.
So have you seen him work through this before, and how's he handling?
He's the same every single day. Honestly, I'm trying to pull him off the court, quite frankly, because he lives in the gym. And I want to make sure he's fresh. He is the type of guy, he never wants to be taken out of practice. He never, he will come in at night. He will come in the morning. He has his routine. So I more so monitor him overdoing it, more so than trying to pull him back in the gym. That's how disciplined and focused he is. So it will even out over the course of time. He's too good of a player. He is going to be a terrific player in this league for many, many years to come. He's confident because he works so hard, so he's different than most players where you got to kind of, hey, let's get in the gym. Like, you kind of got to get him out of the gym.
That's what I wanted to ask Coach Pitino is, Hunter actually mentioned it. He thought maybe it looked like Nash's legs weren't there a little bit. He is logging a lot of minutes, and they can back up on themselves. Do you feel like you're comfortable with how much he's playing, and is that...
The games are not really the issue to me. It's not the NBA. You only have 30 games. I don't think a freshman in college or a sophomore, whatever you want to call him, I don't concern myself. I think he could play 40 minutes, quite frankly, and be fine. What I am monitoring is when we're not around him. We may have to lock the gym on him a little bit. But, I see the same thing Hunter does. I mean, it's he's we want to get him 100% fully rested and ready to go by Sunday. But he just lives in the gym, and that's a good problem to have.
Coaches, you guys are getting very close to conferences with you after this game. What do you want to see against SMU as you prepare to get ready to conference play?
I want to win, and then I want to win again before Christmas so I can have a great Christmas, because nothing sucks more than losing before Christmas. But honestly, this is a really hard time for college basketball coaches, because you've got the break, which will give them some days off to go home, which is great, which we love. But you got finals, and you got all these things weighing on these guys. You've got to get them focused on our next 2 games. Don't worry about flights and going home, and because we're all thinking about it. We're all thinking about what are we doing for the holidays, and a little time off is great, and then we're gearing up for a midnight game versus Colorado State. That game time's ridiculous, but nevertheless, that's what we got. So there's a lot of elements, but the bottom line is focus on the task at hand. I mean, we all get too distracted in life, so I don't know. I'm focused on a good practice today, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Put your finger on one thing, and what do you have to do in this game to be successful?
One thing, score more points than the opponent. That would be my one thing. I don't know. There's so many things that come into it. I mean, like I said, if you could take the 11 games that we've played and you could learn so much from them, and hopefully our guys saw UTEP's defensive intensity and said, you know what, we can ratchet this up a little bit. Hopefully they saw the immaturity of dealing with refs. Like, that's not going to happen again. That is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to focus on what we can control, and can we go win a game when the offense isn't clicking? We still haven't shown that.
So you guys put out a stat on social the other day, I imagine it was the UNM, about the free throws, and you guys are leading the nation in free throws made. How often has that been a part of what you have coached, and are you surprised that you guys are leading the nation in free throws?
And we lead the nation in complaining to the refs. Yet we have the most free throws. I put that stat to our guys. I'm like, you guys never think you get fouled, but yet we're number one in the country in free throws made. That is 100% a core belief of mine, is to get to the free throw line. And, my good teams at Minnesota have been that way. My team at FIU is that way. We've got good guards that I think can go by you, but we want to put pressure on you to get to your bench. That's been good for sure. It's number one in the country. I didn't think we'd be that in year one, but we've been living at the foul line. And I thought New Mexico State at home, we missed some crucial ones, but to go on the road and make 27, tough road environment is big. So that is a core belief. We want to make more free throws than they attempt. We want to get to the foul line with, off the bounce or cutting or whatever, and we've been pretty good there.
This may be oversimplifying it, but you just said put pressure on them. Well, is there something specific you do that maybe not all teams are doing to try and draw fouls? Is it as simple as just going at them?
I think there's an offensive freedom that I give my guys to attack. I don't want them looking over at the bench concerned with being the aggressor. There are certain things as a coach that are non-negotiables, but being in attack mode offensively is not one of them. So maybe that freedom gives them the ability to go. But I don't know. I mean, we talk about it a lot. We want to attack, and you can't do it unless you're in great spacing, and you can't do it unless you have good guards. And we do have some good guards.
It seems weird too that you have that, and you guys are a jump shooting team too, like a lot of jump shots too, and you guys still.
Yeah. We got to get better all around.
Jaylen House is obviously very talented. It really helps out your offense, but there are times during games where he might need to, calm down a little bit, slow down. So how do you coach that? Because he obviously has the talent, but it's more of a mental thing, it seems. Yeah,
he exactly right. You guys are really perceptive today. You're having a good day, media wise.
I learned from Coach Grammer.
Yeah, Coach Grammer is doing a good job. There's an expression: I'd rather tone down a Bronco than warm up a corpse. And Jaylen is that. You don't need to warm him up and wake him up and get him going, but sometimes he needs to slow down and calm down. We're working on it. It's a learning process. The beauty of Jaylen is he is a willing listener, learner. He just gets so juiced up during the game, and sometimes you just don't need to do anything. You just need to be solid. But I'll live with that any day of the week. He wants to go make things happen. And in the 6 wins that we've had, he's done a lot of that. So, just keep talking to him, keep coaching him. Like I said, he wants to be great. He's willing to listen. He's willing to be coached.
Coach, could you extend your defense at all?
Could I extend it? I absolutely could. Do I want to? Jaylen's the one that's getting himself in trouble a little bit, getting too extended. So I don't think it's not. Almost any time when you have defensive issues, it starts with on the ball. We're getting beat off the ball way too much. So I don't care what defense we play. I don't care the scheme. That's not the problem. It's just a matter of growing together, being connected together. Process, and we've played a tough schedule, after 11 games, and we've played a very, very difficult schedule that's not going to get any easier on Sunday. Go ahead, Joe. Let's go. Go ahead.
You talked about the intensity of the UTEP defense and how you hope your team learns from that. What are some things you can do from a strategical standpoint to relieve that kind of pressure that they are providing? Obviously, success beating people off the dribble, better rotation, are those some of the things? Or how do you do that to make them pay for being so aggressive?
Yeah, your spacing's got to be a little bit better. You got to short roll a little bit better off of ball screens instead of diving because they were trapping, and then be able to skip it. Play off of 2 feet is big. We got a little bit out of control. So just be a little bit more fundamentally sound. It's a give and take. If they're going to try to do something, you got to take it from them. But there's a lot of guys on that court who've never seen defense like that before, and they'll learn from it. And it's just we're still evolving and growing, but I think it all comes down to fundamentals offensively. It really does. I mean, whatever you're going to do, there's something that maybe we can attack from. Making shots also always helps. Making shots cures everything. And we missed some shots too. But again, it was still a 8-point game, and we were right there. And so we just got to be more disciplined all around.